What is happening, man? Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. Got my coffee handy. But Miss Renee joining us from the land. How you doing?
I'm good. I don't have my coffee. I have my water.
Water?
Yeah. Sorry.
It might be past coffee time where you're at. So.
Yeah, I typically don't consume anything till about noon. So
there you go.
I'm sticking to it.
Cool. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. Anything that's on your mind, dive into, any specific topics that you're wrestling with, and just talk all things coaching, and having that kind of understanding, how are we showing up every day? How are we, coaching ourselves before we're coaching others, to be able to even coach others to coach others. And you can supplement, you can change out coaching with leadership, whatever works for you. But let's dive in. So what's up, Renee? How are things?
Well, we've got a fresh blanket of snow here in the 216.
Thank you. No, thank you.
I know. It'll melt by Christmas, though. We never have a white Christmas. It's always gross and muddy and wet and disgusting. But yeah, it's kind of fun. December, it should be snowing. It should be whatever. I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope that we still have snow for Christmas. But no, things are good. The market is still crazy here. I'm not sure how things are going across the country, but yeah, there's still low inventory. People are still shopping. Interest rates are still low. It's a lot of activity still happening, despite the fact that we are how many days before Christmas? It's
right.
Like,
yeah, single digits. It's here. So, for those kind of tuning in that haven't had the opportunity to meet you or hang out with you or anything, give them a little background, kind of you. Obviously, we're in the 216, but just a little bit about you and kind of your real estate career, and just give some context.
Yeah. So I got into real estate in 2008, like a crazy person. I quit my corporate job and told everybody I was going to sell real estate in 2008, which was everybody looked at me like I had 3 heads back then. I think I sold 16 houses in 2008, and in 2008 that was like a lot for a newbie.
Yeah. Traditional. Was it traditional sales?
Yeah. No, actually, oh my God. I had my first short sale my very first year in real estate, and everything that could possibly go wrong in that transaction went wrong. And yeah, nobody really knew how to do it and what was going on. And it was very crazy. But yeah, so real estate 2008. And then, it was just a solo agent, and then decided, after a few years, that I was going to grow my own team. And so what you said at the top of the live here about, how are you leading yourself before you start leading others? Wow.
Yeah.
Did that resonate with me? Started a team, was not doing a really good job of leading myself, and then was leading others. And we still did well. We still sold a lot of real estate, but I don't know that I was doing any favors for them in terms of their growth and their goals. It was very much about production and just spitting out transactions. Decided at that point that I was going to partner with somebody, and somebody that we were always kind of neck and neck in sales. At the same brokerage, the same office, and he did real estate a completely different way than I did. I was very relational. He did all of his things from basically Zillow. So I'm like, wow, if we just put our the two ways we do business, put them together as a partnership, this could be amazing. And once again, not leading ourselves in the appropriate way, not having the proper agreements, and ultimately, I ended up splitting that partnership, letting the entire team go, like just starting off from scratch, and went right back to solo agents, with an admin, and pretty much just kind of hanging out there. I've had a couple people on the team right now, growing the organization. But it's been more about focusing on what the goal is. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I've gotten from coaching. I've always been in some type of coaching, whether it was group coaching, one-on-one coaching, always been in some form of coaching. And the one huge thing that I've always gotten from you, John, is, what's the goal? What's the goal? What's the goal? Keep going back to the goal. And I've tried to veer off that path so many times and forget about what the goal is. But was able to, come back to it and look at it and say, what's the goal? And at the time, for me, the goal was always production, right? We get these big egos, and we got to be putting up the big numbers on the board, and we got to get all the volume and all the accolades, and that was the goal. And then when you look at it, you're like, what the hell am I doing? A, am I making any money? B, what is my quality of life? C, do I even see the family that I claim I'm doing this for? Like, no, I didn't. I wasn't. I was just doing real estate and running my ass off. And all in the name of a number that was on a board, a number of transactions. I mean, I cared about the people. I always cared about the people. But it was all about putting up the numbers. And I'm so much clearer now. And you know what, to some people, big numbers is 2 million worth of business. Some people it's 9 million worth of business. Some people it's 20 million worth of business. Some people it's, a GCI number. For me, it's what's in my bank account is what counts now, and what that's going to do for my family. So that's kind of been the evolution of Renee in real estate. Has been going in 2008, being this solo agent, everyone telling you need to create a team, not even really knowing why you were creating a team. It was all about the numbers. And then saying, hey, you know what, maybe I need to look at this and figure out what the goal is. And that's what it's been.
I think that's a great lesson there. There's a bunch of things I want to dive in on. And at what point did you, like, the light bulb go off? Like, okay, that's not the goal. This is the goal. And where was that, aha, epiphany, whatever, that finally started to click for you? What was it? Because I know a lot of people wrestle with that. And you mentioned, chasing those numbers really does come back to ego, and, not getting clear on what that means, right? Hey, I want a team. I want to do 500 transactions. It's like, why? Do you know what you're saying, what you're asking for? And what is it that we're really trying to get to? And then asking a better question, what are all the ways? So for you, what was that epiphany that just like, all right, got it?
Well, I got extremely unhealthy. I gained weight. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin anymore. And I would come home and I would miss bedtime, and I would miss dinner, and I would miss all the things. I remember specifically rushing to get to a Christmas concert and missing it. For what? I'm running my ass off for these people. I'm running my butt off to put up numbers, and I am failing myself. I am failing my family. And that's when it was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I think we all think that the more, logically, the more transactions we do, the more money we're going to make, right? That's way that, that's what we think, right? Exactly. Yeah. And the reality is that if you're not careful, the more transactions you do, you get real sloppy and you get real complacent, and you're no longer holding your bank account accountable. And you're watching things go in the opposite direction. You're watching sales go up, but you're watching the bank account go down. And it just didn't make sense. I'm like, what? am I doing it wrong? Is this the way that it's supposed to look? Like, and you know what? And I'm having conversations with other agents, and I'm looking at these teams that are doing huge amounts of business, and you get a couple cocktails in them, and you're having a conversation, and next thing you know, they're telling you that things aren't so great. They're struggling. They can't, they're writing checks that they can't necessarily back up,
Right.
And I knew that that was not the goal. That was not the goal. Like, what good is it to have your name on a billboard and driving around in the fancy car and the big house, and you don't know if you're going to be able to make that payment? It makes no sense to me. So that was the epiphany. It was, ultimately running to that Christmas concert and missing the Christmas concert and telling myself that I was doing this for them. I wasn't doing this for them. I was doing it for the ego. And it takes a lot we're all, and those of you who are watching, agents, we all have huge egos. And if you think you don't have a huge ego, it's because you have too much ego to admit it. But yeah, and that's what it was about. So now, this year's been crazy. Things got busy. Things got crazy. I missed some dinners. I missed some bedtimes, but I also spent more time with my kids this year than I ever have, with homeschooling, with all of that, and still did great numbers. My bank account's healthy. My business is healthy. And it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's not about being more productive. It's not about doing more deals. I mean, at the end of the day, the whole goal, and we all need to really realize this, is that it's all about freedom, and whatever freedom is for you, and to be able to take that next step, the freedom, financially, and even, the freedom in our relationships, it all has to start with the freedom of our time. And, you just shared a couple indicators that people need to be paying attention to. Is that one, how do you feel looking in the mirror? Like, if you ain't liking that, then you better fix that shit. And, the red flags of, your mornings, your work time is starting earlier and ending later, and you're missing those high leveraged activities. I mean, those are all indicators. Those are all red flags that something's out of whack. And that's where, we have to step back and start to reevaluate, really what is the goal here. I also think too, from where that ego grabs hold is the belief that we have to do it all ourselves. And, it's a sense of, I don't know, pride is the right word, but it's how we have been. Look at the generations ahead of us, and you would be ridiculed, right, if you had somebody doing something for you. I remember when me and my dad and my sister, after my mom passed away, we moved into a townhome, and my dad got somebody to clean the house, right? Just because he's a full-time, dad of 2 kids. He's, coaching, 4 sports, full-time teacher. And he was just like, I can't do it. So I'm going to have somebody come do it. But it was like one of those things that I didn't want to tell people at school that, hey, we have a house cleaner. And it's one of those things, like, because just think about it, kids will be like, oh, look at the rich kid over here. And that's not even true. But that was the belief. That was the, what we were, that was just that generation. It was just like, you got to do that shit yourself. What are you doing getting somebody to do that for you? But it was just my dad knowing, hey, I can't do it all. I got to have some help here. The house has got to stay clean. I don't have time. I can trade, some cash to get that function and get that done. And so I think being able to move beyond that and understanding, instead of asking ourselves, well, I need to get to freedom, but how am I going to do that? That's the wrong question. The better question is, who can help me get there? Who can help us accomplish that? And I know, you had a little aha at Agent to CEO last year, to where we were like, okay, well, what does this team have to look like for us in order to hit the goal? And most people go, okay, well, okay, do I need an assistant? Do I need an ISA? Do I need some buyer's agents? And that wasn't the question, right? Because what we were trying to figure out for you on the team was you need support in the home, right? Because your husband's working full time. You guys got Airbnb projects, you know, you got other obligations, but you got the kiddos. And so sometimes it's like, okay, who can help me accomplish this, right? Here's where I'm struggling. Who can help me with that? And it's just better questioning once you understand what the goal is and what it is that you're wanting to accomplish.
Absolutely. And when you're running your butt off like that, you start tolerating things that ultimately, if you weren't running like a crazy person, you would take note of, and you would address and adjust. And all of a sudden you start tolerating certain behaviors, and you start tolerating certain things happening. And next thing you know, like your level of service and what people are accustomed to and what you're doing, it kind of goes out the window. And you think you're doing a good job because you're running, right? You're like, I must be doing amazing. I'm busy. And the truth of the matter is that you get complacent, and things start falling through the cracks, and then you just start tolerating things in your environment that you typically wouldn't. And yeah, agent to CEO, it was like, you know, at a previous brokerage, it was all about building this very traditional team, and that's just what you needed to do. That was the next step, was building this traditional team. And when right before agent to CEO is when we severed the partnership, and we shed all of the agents, and I went completely by myself, which was like gut wrenching, right? I'm like, what's going on? But it was so freeing because I had this blank slate to then create something that made sense for me and made sense for my family. And that's what it was. It was getting help at home was the person that we needed to plug in to the team to make everything work. And then, you know, all of a sudden you've got COVID hitting, and everybody's roles and responsibilities changed. And I don't think, if I didn't have coaching, I don't think I would have ever arrived at the realization that we needed to sit down and get a new agreement in place, right? And reestablish what our roles were, like who's responsible for the homeschooling now, who's getting the kids the breakfast, who's doing, you know, we had to sit down and get real clear on what that looked like again. And I think, you know, without coaching, I think I would have you just go, right? You just, whatever works, and it's all haphazard. And the next thing you know, you're fighting, you're arguing, because there's no agreements. Nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing, including your kids. They have no idea.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, getting real clear on who you need, and where you need them is crucial. And you may think, oh, no, I've got to get an assistant to push this paperwork, or I need to get a marketing director to do this, or I need to get this and that and the other thing. And the truth of the matter is you need the person to come and clean the house, because guess what? If you're trying to go out and build something, you need somebody to fill in that gap. You need somebody to be able to watch the kiddos when they get home from school, if they're going to school. I mean, and it changes like every other week, right? We're riding that roller coaster. Always. But yeah, just making sure that, as you said, you know, getting the right people in the right places in your life. So
yeah. So a couple things that I want to dive in there. I think that you hit on that are really, you know, people are experiencing this, and you know, looking at, hey, do I bring a partner on? You know, do I not? I'm pro partners. You know, I've had you know, partnerships, you know, Jay and I, you know, business partners. I've also been in partnerships with two other people to where there's three. If you're in that situation, or you're looking to get into that situation, let's have a conversation before you do. I can give you a lot of don'ts. And I think you're 100% right. It comes down to, you know, what's the agreement that we have, because you know, everybody's coming in with the best intent, and they're coming in with their perceived notion of success. And, you know, even if you have two partners, or even, you know, three, everybody's definition of success is a little bit different. And if you leave it to, hey, that's a good dude, man, he's gonna come in, he's gonna work his butt off, he's gonna do hard. But what is the measurement of success? And this is where people get tripped up. Anything that is a measurement is a number. So what is the number tied to the agreement of success? And if you miss that step, right, how are we going to determine if we're winning or we're losing? That's why sports, are so fascinating, because there is a scoreboard. There is a clear-cut winner and there's a clear-cut loser. And so it has to be that way in our partnerships. And that's where a lot of people miss. They miss the measurement of success. Now, we agree who's going to do what, divide and conquer roles and responsibilities. But what is the measurement? What is the number to success? And so what were some of your lessons learned in the partnership? Obviously, it failed. But what were some of the lessons maybe going in and then ahas coming out?
And I'm so grateful that it failed, because it meant that we were trying something different. We were trying something new. And without the lessons that I learned from that partnership, I wouldn't be where I am today and in such a great place. So going into the partnership, we had the best of intentions. Like I said, we, very
Great
much.
guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great
Yeah.
guy. Love him. I've had the opportunity, I coached him before you.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. So you guys got to keep that in mind. Sorry to interrupt, but just keep that in mind listening in. Great people, great intentions. And so keep going. I just wanted to preface that, right? It's like, it's not like he was a bad guy and it was a bad deal. Like he's a good guy. So I just wanted to preface that.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good guy. And we had the best of intentions. Like we wanted to, blow it up, and we had, the goals, and we had the income goals, and we had the volume goals, and we had all the things. And the reality of it is that we cared so much for each other. We wanted it so bad for each other that we couldn't make a decision to save our lives. We were so worried about how it was going to affect the other person, or what was the other person thinking. And we have really strong personalities. We're not exactly these timid beings, but for whatever reason in that partnership, it was very difficult for us to make decisions. And then when we did make a decision, I don't know that we were always 100% committed to that decision. So going into it, great people, our families, like, we both have children of very similar ages. Like we wanted it so bad. But we kind of hindered each other from being who we were as people, because we were too concerned about, what that was going to look like or making a mistake, quite frankly. If you make a mistake for yourself, it's like, okay, I'm going to deal, I'm going to clean it up, I'm going to do what I got to do. If you make the mistake and it directly affects someone else, man, it gives you, you take pause. And unfortunately, we paused way too much.
Right.
So we also didn't have firm agreements in place. Like we had roles and responsibilities. You're going to be over this. You're going to be over the sales. You're going to be, we mapped all that out. But again, I don't think we really had the agreement in place that said, once this decision's made over this situation, yeah, we're going to run it by you, but it's going, that's what's happening. And, so going into it, it was best of intentions, and then coming out of it was, man, it sucked. Freaking sucked to have to look at each other and go, God, we screwed this up. Like how did we get here? And visiting that over and over and over again and going, no, we're going to fix it. It's going to be good. We're going to sit down. We're going to have this meeting, and this meeting is going to make everything better. Right. And it was because we never got back to those fundamentals in those agreements. And then having to rip the Band-Aid off and sever it was like a divorce, but you still cared about the other person, right? Yeah. And we just didn't have to worry about where our kids went. He kept his kids, I kept mine. But it was still like a divorce, And oops, thank you. So coming out of it, the pain was awful. The saying, hey, you know, even the team members, like, hey, this is no longer working, and this is why it isn't working, and it's not you, it's, you know, we failed you. Having the guts to say that out loud and to the people that you care about, and saying, hey, we're going to find a place for you to make sure that you guys are whole and that you're moving forward with your goals in the right direction, not leaving them high and dry.
Sure.
It was a lot. It was a lot to process and go through. But the lessons learned in what I really truly wanted and what we thought we were going into it for, I was able to figure that out, what I really, really wanted from real estate and what my goals were. And it was freedom. It was completely freedom. And I think we all go into real estate going, I'm gonna be my own boss. It's gonna be amazing. I can get up when I want to get up. I don't have to punch a clock. And then you get a client and you're like, okay, boss.
Yeah.
You get another client, okay, boss. You get another client. Next thing you know, you got 10 bosses and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And you're no longer, you know, managing your own schedule. And I knew coming out of that partnership, stripping all of that, starting out with a blank slate, and basically painting the picture with every brushstroke, my brushstrokes, was amazing, because now I could create it based around what the goal was, and that was freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, where what I've seen and also experienced is, you know, making sure that, you know, having decision-making filters in place to where, you know, you're able to make decisions a little bit faster and you feel a little more confident about them. And to me, it's all about, you know, always coming back to, well, what's the goal? And then always pushing back on, is that really the goal? Is that still the goal, or has the goal changed? And then, you know, you can make the adjustments and the strategy and in the who factor from that point. So it's it really is really, really key. What you know, so for you, you know, kind of working through that, and you had mentioned, you know, coaching has been, you know, instrumental for you. Where was life before getting into some type of coaching? Where was that? Did you get into the business and had a coach, or did you like struggle through it and then find somebody? Like, what was the progression?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I got into the business, did not have a coach. Had great training. I was that agent that showed up at every single training you could possibly get into. And then finally my broker was like, hey, how's real estate going, Renee? And I'm like, it's great. It's amazing. It's awesome. How many deals do you have under contract? I'm like, none. He's like, what? Like, why is it great and awesome? I'm like, I'm learning so much. He's like, you know, you actually have to leave the building to like go sell real estate, right? I'm like, no, I don't know everything yet. He's like, Renee, you know more than your buyers and sellers do. You need to get out there and sell real estate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I struggled through, made all the mistakes you could possibly make, and grateful for that. I think a lot of people that, especially if you've gotten into real estate, you know, this year, a year ago, these people come out the gate and they are like balling, right? But they don't know the struggle. They don't even know that they're doing wrong, right?
Right.
They're getting rewarded for really bad behavior.
Yep.
And back in the day, it was like I struggled in 2008, 2009, sold real estate, but really kind of was haphazard, right? Didn't really have direction. Just knew that every year I was supposed to double my business. That's what they said. Every year you should be doubling your business. I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to do that? And then finally was introduced into some group coaching programs. So started out with group coaching, and that was cool, right? Because you learned from everybody else's experiences, but you also sat in a room sometimes, and sometimes it turned into just a big therapy session, right? There wasn't a whole lot of direction to the group coaching, and I'm like, wow, I'm sitting in a room with these folks, and I'm just basically listening to their woes. I don't want a therapy session. I want actionable items that I can take to move forward in my business. So finding the right coaching is imperative too. Like just to say, oh, I'm in coaching. Oh, I'm in productivity coaching. Oh, I'm in group coaching. Oh, I'm in this, I'm in that. It's you have to find the right environment that's going to work for you and propel you to the next level to get you to what the goal is.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you know, did the group coaching thing. Again, I'm a big fan of group coaching. There's some great group coaching programs out there. It just needs to make sense for you, and you need to make sure that it's the right direction.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, and then I went to individual coaching in a productivity standpoint. You know, where every week you're held accountable for your numbers and your calls and your this and your that, which was great. And then I hit a situation where I was like, I needed more of I no longer needed transactional coaching. I needed business building coaching. Like I have the ability to go sell real estate. And don't get me wrong, that's a learning curve. You know, things change, environments change. So I'm a firm believer that you constantly need to be perfecting your craft. But I needed business coaching. I needed more well-rounded, all together. What does this look like? And was grateful to be introduced from my old business partner to you guys, to NAEA. And that's when, and I always attended, you know, business trainings and things like that, but trainings and coaching, two different things. I think people get that confused too. They keep showing up for trainings and feel like they're being coached, and they're two totally
different.
Yeah. So meeting you guys and having the opportunity to, I got lucky, y'all. Like I got into NAEA and immediately started coaching with John Kitchens. But it's been a great force with me, especially going through that. I mean, you were with me going through that severing of that partnership. And you could go down that slippery slope where you're just depressed and go, I failed and I did this wrong and I did that wrong. And you were like, nope, let's go. Like, what's the new goal? Like, what are we trying to do now? Now that we've got this blank slate, now you've done all the hard things,
Yep.
hard things. Where are we going from here? Yeah. So I just feel like without coaching in any capacity, we all just naturally suck at being our own bosses. I mean, we really do. We'll let ourselves down. We won't do the things. We won't get up and do the workout. We won't, do the mornings the way we should. And when you have that person, whoever it is, and I hate the word accountable. I hate it. But to have that person holding you accountable, saying, look, and they're holding you accountable to the stuff that you want. It's not what they want. It's what you want. You ask them to hold you accountable. Yes.
Yes.
And then they do it and you're like, shit.
It sucks.
But it's so good. And I'm talking like life in general, like stuff happens, shit happens outside of your business that affects you in your business. And you need someone to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on. And you need that outside perspective because they can see things, they can see through your bullshit. They can see through the false stories you're telling yourself and help you get back to where you need to be. So
it's, I mean, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. A couple things that jumped out, what was for you, what in your mind, you said, hey, there's a difference between coaching and training for you. What is that difference? What does that mean?
It is. It's the accountability piece, and it's the getting you to think about. So training is a very tactical thing, right? These are the steps. This is the process. This is what you should do. Coaching is putting all of that together, implementing it, and what are all the ways, and how does this work for you? And does this really align with what your goals are? Like you just took this training. What'd you take it for? Like, does it align with your goals? My goal this year, I had a very specific goal this year. We talked about it. It was our, every week we talked about it. Where are we? Are we going to get there? What are the things? What are the ways? And now next year, the goal is completely changed.
Sure. 100%.
And having
now the destination hasn't really changed. Right? Right. So, just be sure, just be careful. Everybody listening in, right? So like the destination hasn't changed.
No.
Destination's freedom. Remember that. Now,
Yep.
what is freedom for you? That you have to figure that out.
Yep.
But now we're making moves. The goal is moving. The goal is changing. But the destination has not. That's very, very important for you all to understand.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, I feel that people think as long as they're in training, that they're being coached, and it's just not. It's a totally different thing. You need that accountability. You need that person that you can bounce the things off of, and they can lead you back to where it is you said you wanted to go. Because it is so easy, right? We're in real estate. We got bright, shiny things coming at us 24/7. I mean, you could scroll 16 million times a day on the bright, shiny thing.
100%.
And you lose focus of it. I mean, we have many conversations where we're like, okay, you'll let me get it out, and then you're like, okay, well, let's get back here. Let's get back to the goal. And that's the difference between training and coaching. That is the distinct difference. You can go to training and get tactical advice, but in terms of making it work for you and what that looks like in your world, that's where coaching comes in.
I love, from the coach. So training, just to keep it simple, there's a start and a stop, right? There's usually training, hey, this is it. This is the process. This is where it begins. This is where it ends. For me, where coaching is something that never ends. It's forever going. And I think one of the biggest things, at least for me and my coaches, is that, they help reveal the blind spots that we all have, and what we reveal, we can heal. And that's usually a lot of the blind spots is in our thinking. And whereas training gives you the tactical actions that should produce a specific result. Now, if you don't have a belief around that you don't believe that's true, or that's going to help you, then the training, that's why you're bouncing from training. You're not bought into it, because they're not giving you the rationale. They're not giving you the reasoning behind it. And so, we've talked about in Coffee and Coaching this, the sequence. And so, where what I love the most with coaching and my coaches is that they challenge my thinking. And so your thinking, really, then a collection of our thoughts is just what we believe, right? So if you have a belief about something, it's because you've thought about it a certain way for a long period of time. You have a collection of thoughts that hold that belief. And then, but go back to the example I was talking about, generations ahead, that it was, you had to do everything. You had to mow your yard, you had to clean your house, you had to cook dinner, like you had to go get your own groceries, like you had to go do everything, right? That was just that sense of pride. You had to go do it. But that was just because of the environment and how they were conditioned. But that's not always true. And so until you find somebody that's going to challenge your thinking, you get into an environment that allows your thinking to be challenged, then that changes how you feel, right? How you feel about your business, how you feel about yourself. Then from there, how you feel drives your actions, drives the combination, the collection of our behavior, which is our habits. And then that gets us those results. So like anywhere on there that you're feeling out of whack or you're not getting the results, I mean, it could be all the way back to about how you're thinking about it. And if you're struggling with the people that are around you and they're not, helping you challenge those thinking, then you got to get into an environment that's going to allow that to happen. And so you just got to be open to that, always open to being wrong, always open to finding somebody that's going to push back on what I'm thinking. And, that's going to give you the distinctions that you need, to produce whatever results that you want, that ultimately is moving you closer to your freedom. And that's so important to remember. Right. So what's the big thing for you right now moving into 21 as, biggest, thing that you're kind of committed to, you're thinking about, how you're leading yourself? Like, what are some of the big things that you're committed to heading into the new year?
Yeah. So first of all, it's health and fitness, like first and foremost. I quickly realized this last year how truly that impact has on your business. If you're not healthy and you're not fit and you're not, taking care of you on the inside, it makes it real difficult to build anything, because you're just not strong. You're just not strong. You're not strong mentally. You're not strong physically. So health and fitness is a huge pillar of mine, going into 2021, and helping agents grow. This going into 2021, it's helping agents grow. This past year was a huge growth year for myself, and now I'm stronger, way more dedicated, and feel like it is now my time to help others grow. So those are the two things. It's get healthy, stay fit, and help others grow this year. And through that, to me, that's what success looks like. And if I can do that and still maintain, time with friends, with family. I mean, this year's been tough for that, man, like tough. So I'm hoping that going into 2021, we'll be able to start hanging out with each other and loving on each other. And I really think that that's what people are going to want and need is to just
human connection,
feel the connection. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the person I want to be, is the person that they want to connect with, and the person that they want to see and that they want to hang out with, and that they want to, build a bigger, better business with. And that's the goal. That's the goal of 2021. I think that a lot of people, there's been agents that are having a killer year, like the best year they've ever had in real estate. Yep. And then you see others where they, either, based on their state, they really couldn't do a lot, or out of fear, they really weren't doing a lot. And I think, as agents, if they weren't doing well, two things they get rid of, right? They get rid of their marketing, and they get rid of their coaching and training. It's just what they do. Those are they nix them, right? They're like, oh, don't have the money in the budget, get rid of the marketing, get rid of the coaching and training. And it's so ass backwards, right? It's so ass backwards. So for me, I want to make sure that, the agents that are doing well, that have done well this year, that they continue to do well. And the agents that struggled, figure out what that looks like and why, and see how we can help them and get them into a better place. This business is too challenging to get into it for a couple of years and then bow out because you had a bad year, right?
Yeah.
And just push them. So
yeah, and I just think your behavior, your habits are off because you're feeling a certain way, and it's because you're thinking about it a certain way. So find that circle that's going to inspire you daily to envision a bigger future. And that would be my question for you. Do you envision a bigger future today than you did this time last year?
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
Hell yes. I literally took a trip, a forced trip to Florida just a couple days ago. And isn't that terrible? A forced trip. Like everybody else travel, and I was like, I can't leave my business. I can't leave my kid. I can't do any of this stuff, right? And then I got down there and I was like, man, like there were times in my life, like back in the day, where I would see other people do these big things and I'd be like, well, that's great for them, but that's not me. That's not going to happen for me. Like, that's just not, it's not, right. I don't live there. I'm not from that town. I'm not, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm sitting there on the beach and I'm like, I got to pick up here and I'm gonna move here tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like to have that freedom to say I could pick up and move here, move there tomorrow, is not something I would have spoke about even last year. I don't think
10 months ago.
Yeah.
9 months ago.
Yeah.
Like the world has probably moved with the pandemic and being forced locked down and forced to do this, collapsed 3 to 5 years. Like, I remember, which I can't believe we did Cleveland boot camp this year. It was this year. Like it feels like it was 2 to 3 years ago, but we did Cleveland boot camp in 2020. And I remember, telling Gogo, I was like, you're not potted plant, right? You know, you're not a tree. Like, you can move. And it's cool to see, because I know there's a few other people that were in that room that heard that conversation. And there's quite a few folks that are spending split time in Florida now that was like, man, should I, whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, look at how you're forced to figure out how to do business a certain way. Now it means you can do business anywhere on the planet. Exactly. And I'm just excited for those that are embracing that and getting there. But the point that I wanted to emphasize, that you're thinking of a bigger future today than you were 12 months ago. And if you're struggling with the current present, the time right now, it's because your future, you're not thinking your future is not big enough, right? That's the whole, hey, for your present to be better, your future has to be bigger. And so if you're struggling right now with the day-to-day in any aspect, any equity of your life, I would challenge you to think of a bigger future. And then that's going to help your present be better. And, I love to see that commitment to a bigger future on the fitness, a bigger future with the family, a bigger future with the relationships, and, knowing what freedom is, that really helps our day-to-day and our present. And so, man, I appreciate you sharing all of those nuggets.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I cannot express enough how much the last 3 years of my life it's just completely changed. And it's largely in part to being in the right environment, surrounded by the right people, watching what they're doing, copying what they're doing, implementing what they're doing. If you're struggling with where you're going in the direction that you're going, it's probably because you need to change the environment that you're in and change your circle that you're in. Yeah. And that's when you say bigger, better future, like that's what I'm looking at. Like, okay, who's in that? Who's in that future? Mm-hmm. Who's really in that? Who needs to kind of maybe go by the wayside, and who's going to come along, and who's going to be next to you, and what does that look like? So I'm super excited, and I can't wait to. I'm not gonna say 2021 is my year, because Jesus, I said that in 2020. But I think that change is good, and figuring that out, and the journey, enjoying the journey is the mantra this year. Is actually embracing and enjoying the journey. Yeah,
that's awesome. It is. It really is, and you nailed it. And Al even threw the comment in here, environment, and it really is. And I mean, if you guys are listening to this, you're in the right environment, but where is your tight circle within this environment? That's what I would challenge you to look for. And the 3 M's, right? We've got to have those mentors in all the equities, right? I just real simple. I like to keep things as simple as possible: health, wealth, and relationships. So like, where are you struggling in those 3 buckets, and who can be a mentor for you in those buckets? And maybe even a coach, right? Getting that coach. And coach is somebody you pay. Let's understand what we're saying here. Mentors, coaches are somebody you pay, because when you pay more attention. And I would tell you, if you're looking for a coach, look for somebody that has a ton of relationships, that also has a toolbox that can, help you accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So the mentors, model, right? Look for within this environment, success that you can model. And we're notorious for being just amazing modelers, right? Not just in our industry, but outside of the industry. So model what do you want to model that's going to help you move closer to freedom? And then, make sure you're in the right mastermind. Make sure you're connecting and aligning with the right people, and that will really set you guys up for success into 21 and beyond. So I appreciate Renee. Looks like we lost her, but I appreciate her jumping in for this episode of Coffee and Coaching. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week into the weekend. And man, let's keep making it happen. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks.